Boa noite. Welcome to Volksparkstadion in Hamburg for the press conference of the team of Portugal with the player Bernardo Silva. Before we start the press conference, just as reminders, please raise your hands. You already started. Very well. Raise your hands to get the microphones to ask your questions. Simultaneous translation for this press conference, of course, Portuguese, French, also in German and English. And we can start with the first question over there. Mais alto, mais alto. The lady. Okay, ladies first. Yes. Obrigado.
Boa tarde, Bernardo Silva, Cristiano.
Good afternoon, Bernardo Silva. Looking at what you've produced on the pitch, how do you rate your performance? Do you believe you've not yet reached the level you'd expect, and what's missing there? Good evening. I feel like I'm doing my best, and I can assure you that I will keep doing that. I know I can improve, but I don't think we're doing poorly.
Well, you don't have the audio?
You don't have the audio?
Okay, we're gonna fix that. I understand. Maybe we can switch to the next question and come back to you, I promise. The camera, they don't have the audio. This is what we do live, and sometimes live issues, because we do live.
Boa noite, Bernardo. No Normal de Santarão, a ideia que fica sempre é quando...
The idea behind this is that when Bernardo Silva and Bruno Fernandes are not at their best, then Portugal doesn't perform. I know where you're coming from. I know where you're coming from.
Eu não sei se de fora parece mais fácil do que parece lá dentro. Mas
I know
competição como uma fase final de europeu.
This is the knockout stages of Euros. These teams are very organized. They defend in low blocks, sometimes with 5 at the back, 6 at the back. And they want to be behind the ball, every single man. Look at our last match. And this is not an excuse, but the grass, the pitch was very dry and the ball is bouncing around. Sometimes it's hard to create as many chances as we want to and as we should. We know, while we know we can improve, I say again, I don't think we're bad off. And I'm not complaining because that's why we're paid as much as we are and why we can afford to give our families the kind of luxury lives that we give them. And for better or worse, we depend on the people consuming football, and that's what makes football a beautiful game. I think we're in a great position to fight for the win in this team. And I'm going to speak for myself, not for Bruno, because he's not here. I can assure you that I will keep doing my best for Portugal on the pitch, and whenever the head coach decides that that's not enough, to ensure that I'm an available player, then I will do my best to be a squad player. I'll play 5 minutes, 10 or 0. What was the feeling after the last game? It was a very emotional game, 120 minutes. You played longer than France. How do you feel from a physical and emotional standpoint? And how are you ready for tomorrow? Well, we felt relieved. We felt happy. It's not easy to go to a penalty shootout and play the way we played. The pitch was not good at all. And our head coach has said, and I've heard some criticism, but the fact was that a poor pitch harms the team that wants to have the ball, that wants possession. And so a dry pitch where the ball keeps bouncing around makes it harder for us to find the game inside, to play the 1-2, to create more chances. However, we feel that we deserve to qualify for the quarterfinals. We had a hero man of the match, Diogo, and we're training hard to be ready for the quarterfinals against France. You just said that you talked about the previous matches, and I think we can include Turkey in this. Teams that played with a lower block, that made the team change sides to try to find spaces. Can we infer from your answer that against France we may have a game that suits Portugal better with more space? Perhaps, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know how France will be playing. I don't know if they'll defend with a higher block, with a lower block. Looking at the type of players they have, I think they're not geared to defend with 11 players behind the ball for 90 minutes. So there may be more space for either team.
Next question. I think the audio issue is solved now. Just forget to inform you that first we're going to start with the Portuguese press and then we will switch to the French and international questions. Let's go ahead.
Bernardo. Não, depois como foi internacional, pois. Bernardo, boa tarde. João Paiva, direto para a cena em Portugal. Falou há pouco do Europeu.
You talked about the Euros 2016, the fact that you didn't play this Euros. It was tough for you, I'm sure. You were so close, though. And you didn't play the finals against France. How does this work for you, being able to play at the Euros against France, a decisive, a knockout match? Is this an added motivation for you? Oh, of course, yes, I'm very motivated. Not because of what happened 8 years ago. This was the biggest title in the history of Portuguese football, but this is an amazing chance to be one step closer to our main goal, which is to bring the cup back home. And so I feel motivated to help our team and do my best.
Bernardo, boa tarde. Luís Rocha Rodrigues do 00.
In the penalty shootout, everybody talked about Joao Costa, everybody talked about Cristiano, but I'd like to ask you about yourself. You were in the background, but we usually don't see you in penalty shootouts. What does this mean for you? And does this bring something different for the rest of the Euros? Well, I was never the first choice to shoot penalties, either at club level or national team. But whenever there was a penalty shootout with club and country, but I always wanted to do it. I wanted to take on this responsibility. It's tough for everyone. You can imagine it's not easy to play this emotionally charged competition and take on the responsibility of missing. It can happen to anyone. And so I'm very happy to have helped our team. I'm very, very proud.
Boa tarde, Pedro Neves de Sousa, Correio da Manhã e CMTV. Para si, qual das duas seleções é a favorita para amanhã?
Which of the teams is favorite for tomorrow? And in Portugal, everyone was talking about the Euros and of Joao Felix going back to Benfica. Do you think it's good for a player to go back where he's been happy? As for favorites, I don't think there is one favorite. I think these are two national teams with amazing players, amazing squads. Any player can make a difference. They have their own type of playing. They legitimately want to win the Euro, so I don't see a favorite. As for the second question, I think it's inappropriate for this moment.
Olá, Bernardo. Aqui, Nuno Travassos da bola. Bernardo, na sequência da pergunta do meu colega há pouco sobre o Bernardo e o Bruno.
As for what was asked about Bernardo and Bruno, I don't want to focus on performance, but one of the secrets of this team, it was a lot about the dynamics between Bernardo and Bruno, sometimes switching position. But this hasn't happened that much. Do you agree with me? Is it because strategically it hasn't been requested of you, or because the team has not been able to do that? When it comes to positions, I think we occupy the same positions we did in the qualifying rounds, because throughout the qualifying rounds, Bruno was 8 or 10, and I was more pushed towards the left and sometimes drifting towards the inside. So I think we're playing the same positions. But these are two very different moments. In the qualifying rounds, we're playing against lower level teams and teams who didn't play like they're playing here at the Euros. They don't feel as much pressure to defend and to park the bus for 90 minutes. So I think it's very different realities. But of course, I acknowledge we can do better, and we will all do our best and try to improve. But it's very different to play a qualifier or a game at the Euros. 90 minutes can swing either way. There's a lot of pressure, and we all feel this. Again, I think we are well placed to ensure we can reach the semis and be close to winning the Euros. And to that end, we must be doing something right.
Bernardo. Aqui, boa tarde, António Oliveira da agência Lusa. A França, na teoria, pelo menos no papel,
theoretically, on paper, France is the toughest opponent so far. Do we need a better Portugal than we've seen before throughout all 4 matches in order to reach the semis, which is the next goal? We need a Portugal at a very high level to beat France. I don't agree when you say we've not been playing at a good enough level, because we're one of the 8 best teams in the world. We can go home tomorrow, or we can be one of the 4. I apologize, the speaker corrects himself. One of the best teams in Europe. And in order to reach the quarterfinals of the Euros, this means we've worked properly. Maybe it's not as much of a display for the people watching at home, but we have been doing an amazing job, otherwise we wouldn't be here in the quarterfinals.
I'm going to switch now for the question for the French and the international press. Please go ahead.
Bonjour Bernardo.
Hi Bernardo, can I speak in French?
Portuguese, German, and English. You can ask all your questions in those languages. Go ahead.
I'm Baptiste from RTL. What do you remember of Kylian Mbappe? Because you were together with him in Monaco in 2007, and did you think that he would be at this level now? And good evening. So for Kylian, he is a player that is a wonderful player. He started with us at AS Monaco when he was 16 years old, and I remember very well, after his first week with us, I would look at Moutinho and we'd say, who's this kid? This is good because he stood out from the crowd and he was so different in training. With my last season with the Monaco, this is when Kylian disappeared. He scored so many goals. He really shone in the Champions League, and I am so delighted for him that he was able to start a blossoming career, a wonderful career, and I can only wish him the best for his career, but not tomorrow, obviously. Not tomorrow, because tomorrow I want us to qualify and I want to help Portugal. But it's wonderful to see how far he's come. For Saliba is a rival in the Premier League. He's a wonderful player as well that I really like. I like the way he plays, his concentration, his focus. He's always ready to help the team. And it won't be easy tomorrow.
Boa tarde, Bernardo. Lucas Dombrowski para o Diário Alemão. Bild em tempo português.
I will try in Portuguese.
Esta noite em Frankfurt. Foi tema dentro das conversas da equipa e Marienfeld nos dias depois do jogo. É como pode dar força ao grupo.
How do you think playing here can help the players?
Que vou recordar para toda a minha vida e que todos nós, porque
I will always remember this. In Marienfeld, there was extra time and we went in the penalty shootout and we were very close to being out of the Euros. There was a moment of joy and it gave us a lot of good energy and prepared us for what's coming.
Olá, Bernardo, está incrível a Sport Itália. Obviamente, nós em Itália temos particular atenção sobre Rafael.
In Italy, we pay close attention to Rafael Leao. But I'd like to ask you something.
Nesse tipo de jogos, de competição, como numa terra de meio,
he's somewhere in between being a great player but not yet a champion. Of course, there's great players in this team like you, Bruno, or Cristiano. And from your privileged viewpoint, how do you see the way he's progressing, Rafael Leao? Over the past few years, especially in Italy, in the last season, he was one of the best. 2 seasons ago, he was one of the best players in the world. They won the Scudetto. He can improve. He knows how he can improve, but at any given moment, he's so explosive, so fast. He's got such great vertical game, and he can pull something out of a hat. When he's on the pitch, we're always closer to winning because we know that at any given time he can assist or get a yellow card from our opponent, score a goal. He will miss once or twice and not give up. He will keep on attacking his full back. And whenever you have players like this who are not afraid, it's easier. And we have players who are more irreverent, so to speak, like Rafael, and others more rational. I think when you have these types of players, this is a very good balance.
Hi, Bernardo. Andrés Rubio, the Spanish TV, Spanish television. Tomorrow's game could be perfectly a final. It's the best game we can see in this Euro Cup. Do you get nervous before this kind of games? Do you sleep well tonight, for example?
Well, of course, yeah. I hope so. Of course, you get nervous. It's something that me personally I love doing, playing football. It's my job, but it's also my passion. So I want to do it well. So definitely I get nervous, but the more experienced I am, the less I get and the better I can deal with my emotions. But definitely it's an important game tomorrow where everything is decided not in 5-6 games, but in just 90 minutes, eventually 120 or penalties. So in one game, everything is decided. And those are the moments that you want to live as a player. These are the games that you want to play. And when you're a little kid, you dream of playing at these stages.
Good evening, Bernardo. Charlotte Harper from The Athletic. People are describing this as a passing of the baton or a handover between Kylian Mbappe and Cristiano Ronaldo. I wanted to ask you if you see it like that, this match tomorrow.
Well, no, I see it as it's first of all, it's not about Kylian and Cristiano. It's about Portugal and France. But definitely two unbelievable players on different stages of their careers. Cristiano, one of the best players that's ever played the game. Kylian still going through the middle of his career. But most important thing is that it's not about them. It's about Portugal and France. And Portugal, we as a team, we want to qualify to for the semi-finals.
Okay, we're going to have the last question for Mr. Bernardo Silva, and then we will host the coach, Mr. Roberto Martinez, just over here. Thank you.
Bernardo, Johan from Swedish TV. Just wondering your view on the reactions and the criticism that Cristiano Ronaldo received after the last game, and also who will take the free kicks tomorrow?
Who will take the free kicks tomorrow? Well, I'm not going to say that. First, because I don't know yet, and then because even if I knew, I wouldn't tell you, because I'm not going to tell you the plan for tomorrow. And then your first question was? Regarding Cristiano and the criticism he received after the last game. Well, I said it. I answered in Portuguese like 3 or 4 questions before that. We understand it. It's part of the business. It's the reason why we earn so much money and we are able to give our families and our fans a better life. So we don't complain about the criticism. It's for the good and for the bad. It's our job. It's the way that people live the game. It's the passion that everyone knows a little bit about football. When it comes to June, to a World Cup or Euros, everyone thinks that they're a manager. So we get that and we accept that. Regarding Cristiano, we're humans, and he felt emotional when he missed the penalty. I think that's totally. It's acceptable, isn't it? Because sometimes you react in ways that you don't expect, and you wanted to help the team, and and he felt that he could have done better in that moment. In my opinion, it's a very good penalty and a great save from Oblak. And then he cries for a bit, which is how humans deal with emotions sometimes. So I don't see any reason for people to discuss about it, but obviously people will, because that's the business.
Obrigado, Bernardo. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Now we're going to host Mr. Roberto Martinez, the head coach of Portugal.